Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Misaki Katanaka Oyabun box. I do not have the actual box, I just have the sprues, so you're going to have to use your imagination. I can probably put up the 3rd edition box art. In 3rd edition, this was the Misaki core box. Now it is Misaki Katanaka Oyabun, or... no, it should be that. Yeah, okay. So, if they have artwork for the 4th edition box, I'll put that up. Otherwise, you just have to deal with the artwork of the 3rd edition box. Should be able to find it. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's look at our sprues here. Box is a typical core box. We got the master, which is Misaki Katanaka Oyabun is the title. This is her right here. Then we have a totem, which in this case is Shang, which is some kind of kitsune, I think, a fire fox thing. And then our henchman, Ototo, this man doing the squats. And then 3 Torakage, all sporting lots of flowy robes and clothes. So a lot of bits here. I don't think any of these builds are going to be super terribly easy. Nothing like just really difficult, it's just a lot of pieces. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with Misaki. We'll look at her instructions, then go over the assembly order. Okay, for Misaki's assembly order, we're going to work from the bottom up like we normally do. We'll grab D7, which is the majority of the body, and then we'll add the butt and left leg to that, which is D8. Then do D6, which is the foot she has lifting up in the air. And then we can do the sash on her back, D2, these weird things poking out of her shoulders, I think. And then we can do each of the arms, D5 and D3, and finish with the weapon, D1. Okay, let's grab D7 and D8 to start. Okay, D7 and D8 on the back is going to cover this entire section, so add that next. And there it is in place, although I might try to close that gap just a little bit. Otherwise, halfway decent. But I do notice that my order is already going to have to change. You can kind of see where those weird 3-stick things are going to be stuck onto her shoulders, and so that's going to be real weird without the arms. So keep note that we will put those on after we do the arms instead of before. Now let's go and do her right foot. I'm just going to go right in there. That bit is D6. Turns out the reason that I had such a big gap is because I forgot to trim off this bit of flash right there, so I'm going to fix that. Yeah, that looked like a very intimidating connection because there just wasn't a very obvious spot on here. But I did also notice that there is this little divot right there, and that, thankfully, corresponds to a little tiny tooth on the end of her foot. Yeah, there you go, you can see that. So use that as a guide to where exactly the foot's supposed to go. Alright, yeah, that connection point on the toe, connecting to the inner thigh here, is what you really need to start with, and then just kind of nudge it until it's connecting to the bottom of the leg. I think it would probably be smarter to do that instead of do this piece first instead of the back and leg, but it didn't bother me a whole ton. This might be a little bit easier for you. Okay, we are also going to ignore the big ribbon thing that's going into her hair, because I think that's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to put the arms in if that's there, so we will just move on to the arms. Good job, me. Okay, D5 is going to be our right arm, going to go right in there. And there is the arm in, and yep, part of it is the connection point for that hoop with the 3 sticks, whatever the heck that is. So we will continue on and do the other arm, which is D3. It's the one that actually has a hand. We'll connect right there. Ugh, how did I miss that? I am off my game today, it seems. I apologize to keep having to go back on my instructions. So actually, the part that fits in the shoulder here is attached to her giant spear. So we'll attach that, which will also attach to the right hand, and then after we're done with that, we'll go ahead and do the left arm, followed by the ribbon in her hair, and finish with the weird stick things. Okay, so on that bit, which is D1, by the way, this is the part of that will connect to that shoulder joint on Misaki's body. And this is the hand for the right arm. And so once we attach that, we'll be able to, I believe, insert the left arm right there. So this is how we're going to install it, blade down. So let's do that now. All right. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. The shoulder joint lines up. I put way too much glue inside of the sleeve, but it is what it is. Okay, now let's go ahead and do that actual left arm. The shoulder will connect here, but it also connects to the shaft. You can see just a little bit of a flat connection point right here, and that is part of the meat of her hand. Be right there, that's her connection point. Okay. Shoulder connection and our hand connection. All good. 2 bits left. Now we can actually move on. D2 is going to glue right up here as well as part of the hair. It is just a big long flowy thing of hair. Okay, there's the hair on top, and let's look at it from the other side, preferably without throwing it on the ground. Okay, pretty good. Now our last bit, the thingies on our back I keep referring to. Yeah, they're gonna connect right there and there. That bit is D4. Okay, huge warning for all of you. Please, hopefully you're watching this whole thing before you do it yourself. You need to snip off the tips up here before you do the big one down here. Otherwise, you will quite definitely snap these, possibly in two, which is what I did because I was not paying attention. In all honesty, again, I'm off my game. I haven't done these regularly for a while. But anyways, my bad excuses. Yeah, do them on top first, so you don't have to like re-glue these and try and fix them. They're quite fragile, so that's very important. Now let's actually attach it. All right, there we go. No idea what they are, what they're called, and they're a bit of a pain, but they're attached and she's all done. Let's put her on a base. Misaki Katanaka Oyabun is done. Kind of a pain, honestly. The stick things really sucked to clip out of the sprue and glue on and fix after I broke them. A lot of unintuitive stuff with this sculpt. Yeah, kind of difficult. But we managed. We got it working, and knowing the order is probably the most important thing outside of the stick things. So getting the order right will make it a lot easier. So it's gonna be easier for you than it was for me. Let's move on. All right, here we've got Shang, and we are going to start with grabbing 2 halves of the body and adding the head. Then we'll set that entire thing aside. Then we will grab B2 here, add B4 to it, followed by B6, and then B8, and then B3. Nope, B3 is last. Then B4, and then B3. That should be all the tails combined together, and then we should be able to add that onto the body. Let's go and look at the instructions. Instructions I can already tell are slightly off because I know that B4 just attaches to the side of B2 here. Right there, in fact. But okay, let's look at those instructions and then grab B1 and B6. Alright, we have the right half of his body. Now let's add the left half right there. There's the 2 halves of the body. That's the butt. So let's grab B9, the head, put it right there. There's the head. So now let's go ahead and sit the body down. We're going to grab B4 next and attach, B2 next and attach B4 to it. Okay, B2 and B4 is going to connect right in there. Yeah, more or less. Glue that. Alright. Next is going to be B5. It has a very obvious, nice square connection point that's going to fit right in there. Well, I guess that would be the tooth. So connect them that way. Okay. There's a lot more to connect them together than just that one square. You can see that they just fold into each other right along there. Alright, next piece is going to be B8, and I know at least it's going to connect down here. You can see the connection point in the pill shape. That will correspond right here on B8. Okay, it also connects up here as well. But this is the whole thing as we see it now. Next bit is B7, and I know it will at least connect here, probably also somewhere else. But that bubble connects to this one right here on the bit. Okay, it doesn't look like it actually attaches to anything, although, yeah, you could probably glue it there. There's a slight connection, but also this is what our bottom looks like, all the bits together. But we only have one piece left. Hooray. That is B3, and that will connect right along here, as well as almost definitely up here somewhere. Okay, yeah, you can see it pretty much fills in all those connection points that were left over. This is what our bottom looks like. But now we have one singular spot that we're going to jam onto the body, so let's do that now. There's our connection point. And like that, Shang is all done. Put him on a base. Shang is completed. Nothing super hard about him. Is just figuring out which bits are which on the sprue and compare them to the instructions. They don't go together fine. So I'd say it's almost definitely going to be the easiest build in the box, and it looks real pretty. Just gotta know which bit is which. Alright, let's keep going. Next is Ototo, and he should be relatively easy, despite having a decent chunk of pieces. Our assembly order, we're going to grab the body, and then work our way up from the bottom, do the left leg, and the crotch flap here, followed by the knife that's right on his tummy, then his butt flap, followed by the shoulder armor piece, the other shoulder armor piece, the I think the arm, yep, the arm and the big club, then face and hat. Okay, so let's look at his instructions and then start with A7 and A10. Here's A7. A10 is just going to connect right there. It's a leg. Alright, next A8, the crotch flap. Right there. Sorry, the crotch flap is A9, my bad. It's the one that widens out as opposed to remain roughly the same width. This guy. Alright, there's our crotch flap. There's a crotch shot. Next is going to be the small knife on his waist. You're looking at here, you can kind of see the indentation for a tooth to go. And that knife is, goodness, this would be A1. This guy right here, we're looking at the side. It's going to look like this on him. The blade is going to be going to his right, and this is this part we're seeing. As you can see here, there's that tooth connection point. So do that next. There. There's a knife. Just a little bit of poking, and that was all that was needed. Alright, now we can go and do the butt flap on the back. And that bit is A2, and I'm sure you can tell where it's going to go. Butt has been flapped. We're all good. Another crotch shot. Alright, next we're going to do the armor on his shoulders. First one, we'll do the left shoulder because that also includes his hair. It's a big, chunky piece. That's going to be A4. You can already see that connection point that goes right on his back. There, he's got hair. I realize my light's kind of offset. There we go. Hair and a nice shoulder piece. All good. Now we can use that piece I accidentally clipped out way too early, which I believe was A8. That's going to fit right in there. There we be. Also, we'll glue to the back of his arm, more or less. Okay. Armor's all done. Now let's go and put that arm there with his big Tetsubo, I think it's called. A3, which we'll connect in here. I'm sure this might actually be a connection point. Not entirely sure. We'll see. Yeah. Alright. Yep, it does sort of connect on the back. It doesn't quite slot in as you would expect this piece to completely disappear. That doesn't seem to be the case, but it's going to be covered up by the head and hat anyways. Alright, yeah, that's good. So two bits left. A2 is going to be our face and what we'll do next. And that's going to go where faces normally go. Alright. Got a face. Well, a masked face, but still a face. And the last little bit is the hat. I'm going to go on top. That is A5. And it looks like there is a little bit here, and that is maybe going to cover up that Tetsu. It's going to be on the back of his head regardless, but let's do A5. Okay, there's the hat. There is his pretty face. And yep, that extra little bit is just sort of covering up the Tetsubo, or that connection point. So he's all done. Let's put him on a 40. Ototo is done. Hardest part for him was this, that tiny dagger was real weird. Let's not count the fact that I accidentally got the crotch flap and the shoulder flap mixed up. That's fine. But yeah, the tiny dagger. Sorry about that. The rest of them pretty simple, and just being confident to do it. Yeah, that's it. I don't have a lot to say about them. Let's move on. Alright, lastly we are on to the minions, the Torakage. Boxes got, there's 3 of them on this sprue, separated by these thick vertical parts of the sprue. I'm tired. The nice thing is, though, they appear to be actually numbered in the same order as they are. They are numbered in the same order that they are lettered in the instructions, so it's great. So 1 is A, 2 is B, and 3 is C in the instructions. So let's go ahead and look at those and then start building Torakage 1 or Torakage A. Alright, now that we've done that, Torakage, we are going to start by grabbing the body like we almost always do, and then we're going to do the cloth that is on his right leg. So we'll do C5, which is on the inside of his leg, and C8, which is on the outside of his leg. Then we'll go ahead and do this spiky kneecap thing that is on the other leg, and we'll do his sort of cape thing, and then glue his head on top of that, and then we'll finish off with the arms, the right arm and the left arm, looks like. Yeah, those are it. Okay, let's grab C6 and C5 first. Alright, C6, here it is, and then we're going to do C5 right here. Oh, okay, there we go. Alright, now we'll do C8, which is going to be right along there. Alright, that's pretty good. Next will be C3, this kneecap, spiky kneecap thing. Spikes are going to be going up, just like on that one. Slots in just fine. Okay, next is big billowy cape thing that's going to go across the shoulders and neck. That bit is C7. There. Cape is on, or whatever the heck that is called. Next we'll do the head, which is C4. I'm going to go right on there. Okay, there's his head. Looks like his hair is flowing forward, just a little weird. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, we can do our, look at the back of the head real quick. Let's do our right arm, which is the C2. Yeah, this guy. Okay. Alright, and our left arm, which is going to be shorter because you already got the arm there. Looks like we're going to have to plug it into that hole. That bit being, C1. Alright, let's do that focus camera. Okay, that actually took a while for me to figure out how exactly his arm was oriented. I did know that he was holding the sword upside down, but was really no quite obvious way for it that it was going to go in, and it could fit a few other ways, but I found the one where the seam was the most closed, so I'm relatively certain this is how he is holding this sword. Alright, he is done now, so let's put him on a base. Torakage number 1 is done. We're going to call this guy Jason. So the hardest part for Jason was... sorry about that. The right arm, fitting that into the slot was kind of difficult. Yeah, it's probably the most difficult thing I gotta say about him. Everything else worked out relatively easily, so let's move on. Our second Torakage, we're going to grab the body, like almost always. Then we'll add the leg D4. We'll move up to the body and do the back of the cape and then the front of the cape, followed by the head, just to have that on there. Then we'll go ahead and grab the left arm, the right arm, attach that to the weapon. The weapon will also attach to the body. Then we'll finally finish with this extra bit of magical effect, which I think is just to make sure that the weapon can also sit on the ground, so there isn't one singular tiny point of contact in its foot. Alright, let's grab D1 and D4 first. I realize I don't think I showed you the before picture of this, but legs tend to go in the same spot regardless on most human bodies, so I think you can probably see where the bit seams are. So we're good. Actually, I'm not sure where the bit seams are. Yes, okay. Anyways, that's the right leg. Now let's move on to the capey thing on the back of his neck. D5, which should be gluing along here, as well as a tooth that goes in there. Nope, we're not doing that because that goes over the top of the weapon, so it is going to be the last thing we add. Okay, I think we can do the front part, though, so we're going to continue do that, which is D2, it looks like, and it's just going to connect right in there. I mean, it's not a bib, but it's also not a bib. Okay, let's do the head next. That looks like that is D9. Gonna slot in there. And that looks like he is going to be... Actually, not entirely sure which direction he's going to be looking. I think he's probably going to be looking to his right, but we'll see. Let me pop that in there right now. Okay. There's the head. Next, let's do the left arm, which is D6. It's going to fit right in there. Okay. Arm is really tucked in there. Let's go ahead and do the right arm. That bit being D7. It's going to go in this socket, shoulder socket. Actually, never mind. Looks like the arm does wrap over the top of the weapon, so I think it is actually going to be smarter to attach the weapon first, which will only have the point of contact right there be that tooth, but that should be solid enough. And for our weapon, I kind of got ahead of myself and clipped it out. You can see the tooth right there. The head of the weapon is going to be pointed down. You can see his right hand, which is where that arm will connect after we attach this. Alright, there it is attached. Don't worry too much, I think, about the angle, because we'll put the arm on and that will solidify the angle it's supposed to be on. So now let's actually do the right arm. Obviously fitting into that shoulder socket, and then the sleeve wrapping over the top of the right hand right there. Okay. There's the arm. Shit fits on the shoulder pretty fine. It looks good in the sleeve as well. So now we can finally do the back part of the cape. You can see the part, the deformed plastic, where it will fit in. We'll also overlap the back of the shaft of the weapon there, which will also secure it more in place. Okay, there we go. That looks real good. And now we're down to one last bit. The magical effect that goes on the end of the weapon, D6. I just know that it's... Need to make sure that's on there better. I just know that it's going to be on the edge of the weapon, I think, right along there, but I'm going to check the instructions, and I'll just show you the end result so you don't have to figure it out. Okay, it's actually going to go, well, in this case, underneath the spearhead, right along the blade here, as sort of like a fire effect. So, kind of like that. Something like that. I'll add it now. Okay, there it is. But this is what it looks like from the top. Nice and fancy. Yeah, we're good. Let's put them in a vase. Torakage number 2 is done. We're going to call this one Billy. Quite difficult. Just getting the order of things figured out, it was a pain. Figuring out how to squeeze that left arm in there and the order. Our last Torakage and the one with the fewest bits. Hooray. Foam stretch, folks. Okay, we are going to start with the body, grab E1, and then we'll do this back butt cape thing, E4, and we'll do the leg that isn't attached, E2. We'll do each of the arms, so E6, I think that's the left arm, or that might be the right, that's the right arm, and then E7, which is the left arm, and then we'll finish up with this scarf type thing, E5, and the head, E3. Alright, so let's grab these 2 bits first. Here's the body, butt. We're going to do this lovely back butt flap going over his butt. Okay, there's the flap attached. Now we can go ahead and do his left leg. Going to glue right in there. And that is E2. Okay, this took a bit of poking to get in there, and I won't say that this is the correct order. It might be easier for you to put the leg on than the butt flap, but just navigating around the arm is the hard part. It's in though. So now we can go ahead and do our arms. Let's do the left arm, E7. Just gonna go into this sleeve. Camera focus, maybe? Oh, good. Alright, that's in. It took me a long time to figure out that the connection point inside the sleeve, it looks like it's supposed to fit a tooth. So I assumed that I had accidentally shaved off the tooth on the bit that's actually part of the arm. What it actually is just the outline of where the edge of the bit is supposed to slot in. So you see the sort of roughed up plastic where I initially tried to connect it, but then I realized that try sliding it in from the left and then have the edge of the bit hit this edge of the connection point, and that's where it's supposed to go. It looks real nice now. I was having such a hard time before. Okay, left hand, right hand, gonna fit right in here. Looks like it also has part of the sleeve attached to it. That bit is E6. And he's doing the whole reverse grip thing like an edgelord. But now that is in, we're down to just 2 bits. Let's first do this scarf on his back. It slots in right there. And that bit is E4. There we go. The side with a notch is his right side. Because I definitely tried to install it upside down initially. Okay, let's finish this up. E3, the head, right there. There we go. Boy is done. Let's put him on a base. The third Torakage is done. We're going to call this one Zack. Hardest part for him was that left hand. Figuring out how it's supposed to slot into the sleeve was difficult for me. The left leg also was a little bit harder, but that's mostly just because the arm is in the way. Everything else, relatively simple. The easiest Torakage to do. Alright, let's look at the whole box. The Misaki Katanaka Oyabun box is done, containing Misaki Katanaka Oyabun, Shang, Ototo, and 3 Torakage. Box is really difficult for a bunch of human-shaped humans. Yeah, hardest parts for this, really Misaki's stupid stick things, and a decent amount of stuff on the Torakage. Yeah, I think it's just the dynamic sculpts making it harder to cut the sprue into meaningful pieces, and too many swooshy clothes. I think those are the real culprits here. But doable, a lot easier once you know the proper order of things and how they're supposed to go, and how not to clip out the stick things from the sprue. So this video should be really helpful to people, because I think it's a little less on dexterity and more on knowing the order and knowing what not to do. So, I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux.